Every morning, the world accelerates. Thousands of students and professionals start their day in motion, building skills and closing deals. But in the center of this momentum, Gaurav remains perfectly still in his bedroom. He is operating on the assumption that time is a renewable resource. Every difficult task is pushed to a fictional later, replaced by the immediate, low-effort dopamine of scrolling through infinite feeds. This chart tracks the cost of that delay. The x-axis shows time passing, the y-axis represents achievement. The gap between his peers' rising curve and Gaurav's flat line is a mathematical delta that widens with every hour of inaction. When the environment around you is moving, standing still results in a growing deficit. You are retreating by default. After failing his midterms, Gaurav seeks out an elder known for his discipline. He finds the man meditating under a tree, far from the noise of the city. The elder identifies the specific failure. Gaurav possesses the intellect to succeed, but treats the hard limits of time as if they are negotiable suggestions. To illustrate the consequences, the elder recounts a story of a man who tried to bargain with a ticking clock. A king once offered an impoverished villager a single day of access to the royal vault. He could take as much gold as he could carry, provided he exited the palace before the sun dipped below the horizon. His wife urges him to go immediately, but the villager decides he cannot work on an empty stomach. He sits for a long, heavy meal, convinced the sun will wait for him to finish. This ancient meal equals watching one more video before a project. Both use immediate comfort to justify delay, draining the same central hourglass. This cognitive trap hides the risk. While the brain focuses on pleasure, the achievement window drains at an accelerated rate. The first delay is the most dangerous because it establishes a pattern. Once you justify a small pause, you lose the psychological friction required to stop the next one. Satiated and slow, the villager decides to rest his eyes for a moment. That moment stretches into a 2-hour nap. This is the same reflex that leads a student to abandon a difficult chapter for a midday sleep. The brain seeks unconsciousness to avoid the discomfort of focus. When the villager finally wakes, he rushes out into the heat of the day. Exhausted and sweating, he spots a breezy tree and tells himself he only needs 5 minutes of shade. He sleeps for 4 hours. The gentle breeze under the tree lulls him back to sleep. This time, he sleeps for 4 full hours. When he finally opens his eyes, he realizes that evening is approaching and the sun is about to set. Procrastination multiplies the effort required to finish. By waiting, you are making the work harder for your future self. The villager wakes in the purple light of dusk. He sprints toward the palace, his empty bags flapping in the wind, realizing for the first time that the sun is indifferent to his panic. He reaches the stone threshold, just as the heavy royal guard releases the mechanism. The vault door slams shut. Opportunities expire. Once the clock runs out, that potential is gone forever. Gaurav sits in the silent garden, looking from the elder to the smartphone in his palm. He sees the villager's breezy tree in the glow of his lock screen. The elder finishes his story and looks at Gaurav. Left speechless, Gaurav finally realizes his grave mistake. He understands that time is incredibly precious and should not be wasted on useless things. The tools of distraction change with the centuries, but the human tendency to ignore the ticking clock remains the same. Gaurav returns to his room and begins the difficult work of restructuring his environment. He deletes the apps that fueled his delays, builds a rigid hourly schedule, and forces himself to start his hardest tasks at sunrise, regardless of how he feels. This change isn't instant. It takes months of fighting the urge to stop. But as the weeks of consistent study accumulate, his performance begins to climb. By the end of the year, the student who couldn't focus for 10 minutes is named the top performer in his college. Time is your only unrenewable asset. Every minute in the shade of delay burns away your potential. Act now before your sun sets.